Hey everyone, name's John Heisterkamp, senior at John Carroll studying mathematics, and I'm here to give my talk for Grad. So, what I kind of want my talk to be centered around is this idea of change. Now, obviously, when most college freshmen get started, they hear all these things like, oh, you're going to meet new people, you're on your own, so many things are going to happen to you that you're not going to expect, which that's all well and good, and that it makes sense. But I feel that a lot of us don't really kind of consider the changes that happen to us, at least at first, like when we get started. And I think to kind of touch on that, I have to kind of talk about my JCU journey a little bit. So, getting started at John Carroll as a freshman, I kind of came in as this introverted, kind of to myself kind of guy. And I wasn't really like the most extroverted and open person that a lot of people see me as now. Of course, everyone knows me as the minister of puns of the week, which is all well and good. It's great to kind of not really be an influencer, but just use a creative way to show off the goodness that Carol brings. But that was just kind of my own way of expressing myself, kind of just from the shadows, just showing off the good aspects that people bring to John Carroll. However, it wasn't exactly me kind of putting myself out there, at least in person. And I would say that was kind of generally what most of my freshman year was. It was just me just kind of being that introvert, not really going out and meeting new people and putting myself out there type of guy. I would say that starting sophomore year, I definitely put myself out there a lot more, went out and met new people, joined a few more extracurriculars, and found the ones that resonated well with me. This kind of made me to come to realize that I had to accept like all the changes that were happening to me, the changes of that like it's my choice to go out and meet new people. It's kind of my choice to join these extracurriculars and all that, but taking those steps and making those choices it was how you kind of get the most out of your experience. I would say that junior to senior year is definitely where I kind of fully discovered who I was, at least in college, and kind of being that extroverted and kind of outgoing personality that everyone tends to see me as now. Because what I realized is that taking those steps and accepting those changes that are happening to you is how you're going to fully discover more about yourself and more about the people that you come in contact with. Uh, kind of a couple things I wanted to talk about from my John Cale journey is how the only constant really is change. Being a kind of guy that's very precise and analytical, I've never really been a huge fan of it, but eventually I had to come and realize that change is just going to happen no matter what. And what you have to do with it is you just have to kind of take everything as you can and really kind of make something of your own. Because if you're just kind of sitting in your room, either watching Netflix or playing video games and not getting out there to get the fullness of the college and John Carroll experience, then you just kind of leave it feeling empty and you kind of don't really learn a lot about who you are or who everyone around you is. I would say generally, because I didn't go out as much freshman year, I kind of have a sense of feeling like I've lost time at Carroll. However, realizing that the changes that have been happening to me were a good thing, I've done my best to kind of make the most of what I've had, especially junior and senior year when I was kind of really sharpening my craft with not only puns of the week, but also being that kind of thoughtful and creative kind of guy that I try my best to be every day. Another thing that maybe was kind of scaring me with change is what I kind of call taking those bad steps. And what I mean by that is, say, like you go out and you meet new people. Well, sometimes you're going to make a fool of yourself, or sometimes you're going to show off a bad aspect of yourself that maybe you don't want people to see. And that's a totally understandable fear to have. And that's kind of what my main fear was freshman year, anyway. But my greatest tip with that is I think you just have to kind of understand that bad steps like that are going to happen because in the end, what I've kind of come to realize the most is that, especially the seniors at Carroll, and well, generally all the people at Carroll, is they really just tend to see the best aspects of you because they know that those aspects are what make you you, and they understand that you're not perfect, they're not perfect, but the best aspects are really what make up the individual and are kind of all they see in any kind of situation. And I think like a final point that I want to make with all that is kind of a little thing that happened to me. It was the day when the coronavirus kind of came to Carroll, unfortunately, and we all had to cancel class and graduation for the rest of the semester. Kind of like how it hit schools across the U.S. That was just like a really hard day for me because obviously, as being a senior, we still had some time left. But JCU senior texted me that day saying how much I've been kind of a light to her and everyone around her, and how like the school is kind of nothing without me, and how I make up such a great aspect of the community. Uh, that girl was Sarah Cadis, and I know it's Friday, so shout out to her. Rip puns of the week. But what that kind of told me was that kind of validated my realization of how not only taking those bad steps and seeing that everyone just kind of sees you for the best aspects of you, but also that I really would not be kind of reaping all the kind friendships and the love that people have shown me without really putting myself out there and accepting the changes that are going to happen to me. Because if you do that, what you get is that rock of a community that supports you all the time at Carroll. And I understand that that text was happy. It also made me a little upset that it was coming early, and just kind of really showed me how much the school has meant to me because of how upset I was that it wasn't at the right time. But it also, generally speaking, was the thing I needed to hear in kind of our time of uncertainty and sadness. To me, it just kind of goes to show that you putting yourself out there and being the change that people want you to be, while also accepting the changes that are happening to you personally, are what are gonna allow you to reap the rewards that are gonna come your way. And even if they come late, like they did for me, since I generally kind of lost some time freshman year, you still have the opportunity to make the most of it, of the time that you do have left at Carroll, because of course everyone is gonna see you as you are, no matter what time they know you for. So thank you for listening.